Good morning, class. Today we're going to talk about two forms of adjectives. We have comparative adjectives and superlative adjectives. So first we're going to start with comparative adjectives. So adjectives that are used to compare two people or two things have special forms. So you can remember comparative adjectives are used to compare two things, two people, two things. If the regular adjective has one syllable, you add ER to the end to make the comparative form. Make the second consonant double if you have a consonant vowel consonant pattern word. If the regular adjective ends in Y, just like we do with plurals and ED, change the Y to I before adding ER. For many regular adjectives with two or more syllables, use the word more before the adjective and do not add ER. Note, these irregular forms, good becomes better, bad becomes worse, and far becomes farther. Alright, so there are three different things that could happen here when we are comparing two people or two things. This is with comparative adjectives. We could add ER. If our word has two or more syllables, we just add the word more on the front and not ER. And if it's an irregular form, good would become better because we wouldn't say gooder or more good. Good becomes better. Same as bad becomes worse. We wouldn't say badder or more bad. It's worse. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're actually going to look at this list of adjectives and we are going to change these into the comparative form when they're comparing two things. Okay? So the first one is done for you. Ugly. Ends in a Y. So they change the Y to I and they add ER. Uglier. Okay? Look at happy. That also ends in a Y. Okay, if you're comparing two people, she is happier than him. So you change your Y to an I and add ER. Happier. Smart. Comparing two things. My dog is smarter than your dog. Smart is a one-syllable word. I just add ER. Smarter. Friendly. Friendly. That is a two-syllable word. And it ends in a Y. So when I say my dog is friendlier than your dog, yes, I would change my Y to an I and add ER. Number 5, beautiful. Would I say that flower is beautifuler than the bush? No, that does not sound right. Beautiful. That is a three-syllable word. Beautiful. That flower is more beautiful than the bush. More beautiful. Same thing with peaceful. Your cat is peacefuler than my cat, or your cat is more peaceful than my cat. It would be more peaceful than my cat. Strange. That house seems stranger than your house. Stranger? Yes, you would just add an R on the end. Strange is a one-syllable word, so you have strange. Number 8, silly. Your sister is sillier than my sister. Funny. Oh, sorry, skipped one. Dirty. His shoes are dirtier than my shoes. Now this ends in a Y, so I'm going to change the Y to an I and add ER. Number 10, wet. He got wetter than I did outside. Now here's the thing, wet ends in a consonant, vowel, consonant. When I go back up here, I know to make the second consonant a double if I have a consonant, vowel, consonant. So in order to write wetter, I need to double my last consonant, which is a T, and add ER. Funny. Your dad is funnier than my dad. And I don't see this word on my list, so I'm going to just go ahead and tell you, if you have the word fun, that's a different situation. You wouldn't say your dad is funner than my dad. Funner is not a word. You would say your dad is more fun than my dad. Just a side note. Number 12, clean. Our car is cleaner than your car. Cleaner. I'm just adding ER on the end. Your car is filthier than his car. This ends in a Y. Filthier. Filth. Change the Y to an I and add ER. Okay. Crazy. Your dog is crazier than our dog. Again, you're going to change the Y to an I and add ER. Okay, we're going to do 2 more. My sister is intelligenter than me. Does that make sense? No. My sister is more intelligent. Sometimes you need to try out both forms to see which one sounds correct. Brave. He is braver than I am. Braver. Okay, so again, when you're doing comparative adjectives, that's when you're comparing 2 people or 2 things. You're either going to add ER, you're going to put more in front of the word, or if it's irregular, like good, bad, and far, then you have a totally different word that it changes to. Okay? So now let's talk about superlative adjectives. Okay? Comparative adjectives are when you're comparing 2 things, right? Superlative adjectives are when you're comparing 3 or more, okay? So 3 or more people or things, and they have a different form than the ER and the more that we just used, okay? Adjectives that are used to compare 3 or more people or things have special forms. Superlative adjectives show the extreme highest or lowest ranking. Consider the 3 adjectives: good, better, best. Good is a regular adjective that could describe anything pleasing. Better is a comparative adjective. Notice the ER. Better means you're comparing 2 things. That's the comparative adjective. best is the superlative adjective. Of all the people or items presented, only one can be the best. This was a positive example, but the same rules apply for the negatives. Consider the adjectives bad, worse, and worst. There can be only one person or thing that is the worst of all those being considered. If the regular adjective has one syllable, you just add est onto the end to make the superlative form. Make the second consonant double if you have a short consonant vowel consonant word. If the adjective ends in y, just like before, you change the y to I before adding est. For many regular adjectives with two or more syllables, use the word most before the adjective and do not add est. So with comparative adjectives, we would add er, or we would use the word more. With superlative adjectives, we add est or use the word most. Okay? All right, let's try some. Beautiful. Would I say she's the most beautiful, or I just told you the answer. Would I say she's the beautifulest girl in the room? No, we don't say beautifulest. Would I say she is the most beautiful? Yes, I would. The most beautiful. Okay? Look at wet. He is the wettest kid in the group. Does that make sense? Yes. And because this again is a consonant, vowel, consonant, short word, we need to double that last consonant. T-T-E-S-T, wettest. Ugly. That is the ugliest duckling of the bunch. Ugly ends in Y. So you need to change the Y to I and add E-S-T. Ugliest. Dry. Arizona is the driest state of them all. Driest. Well, it ends in a Y, so I need to change the Y to an I and add EST. Okay. Number 5, clean. That is the cleanest room I've ever seen. Cleanest. Clean and add EST. Sane. She is the sanest one of the bunch. Dirty. That is the dirtiest room I've ever seen. Ends in a Y, so you change the Y to I, and you add EST. That is the craziest dog out of the whole dog park. Change the Y to an I, and add EST. Okay, I want to skip around so I can get some other examples. Quickly, I would say funniest, sloppiest, saddest, and this is a short word that it is a consonant, vowel, consonant, so I would double the consonant at the end. Dangerous. Would I say dangerousest? Does not make sense. Dangerous would be most. That is the most dangerous ride at the park. Okay. Then I would have filthiest, safest, neatest, carefulest. Nope. It would be he is the most careful camper. Would we say cowardliest? No. We would say the most cowardly. So you have to try out these words to see if they make sense. Brightest, yep. The bravest, the dullest. The colorfulest? No. It would be the most colorful. Sharpest? Intelligentest? No. The most intelligent. Curious? No. The most curious. Then we have the smartest, the closest, the thinnest, the thickest. Okay? So I want you to remember that comparative adjectives are when you're comparing two people or things and you use ER or more. Superlative are when you're comparing three or more and you use EST or most. The best way to test these both out is to try the words out with either ER or EST or either more or most, and you should be able to hear which one sounds correct. Okay?